the Ladyballs podcast, we try and discuss the issues that affect dads on a daily basis. And that can be divorce, depression, dependency, daughters, and the family courts. We try and create a space where dads can speak openly and frankly about their situations, free of any kind of concerns of being told off for what they say. This is also a place where we want people to go away and then discuss these things themselves, because as we found out in our first podcast, men generally are not very good at talking about things and opening up. So we want to encourage that through this podcast. Today, my guest is a dad. He is a dad of 3, plus a father to 2 other children who are not his biological children. And with him are his parents. So today we're going to explore how the family courts have affected him and the wider family, because it's not just the parents seeking contact with their child that gets affected. So I'd like to welcome Mark Price, and Mum Maisie, and Dad Raphael. And to give my listeners and viewers a little bit of a background, my story with Mark started back in 2010.
That's correct.
We had a visit to the UK by the Pope at the time, and I was working for Fathers for Justice as the campaign director, and an article had made its way to the local paper where we were speaking about the lack of concern from the churches, the Christian Church and the Catholic Church, about the rising fatherlessness in this country. In fact, I think we described the Pope at the time as the Arthur Daly of the Catholic Church. When relationships break down, there's no after-sales service with the church, and that smell of incense is not incense, it's cigar smoke, as the Pope in his sheepskin coat was running out the back of the church when you ever went to try and get help. This article caused a bit of a stir in our local community, and the Catholic priests in Romsey offered to meet us and talk about our concerns. And what came out of that was the offer of the church rooms in Romsey for free help and advice sessions for dads. And one of those dads, one of the very first dads that came to see us, was Mark. And when I do interviews and conferences, people often ask me, what was the most difficult case that you've ever had to deal with? What's the one case that you always remember? What's your worst case? And I have to say that I always use you, Mark, as my example. And the reason I use you as my example will become evident as we talk today. But a colleague of mine last year asked me if I'd spoken to you since we worked together in 2010, 2011. And I have to admit that I hadn't. No, so I always hope that when people don't get in contact with me, it's because everything has settled down and everything is okay. But I made contact with you, Mark, and I have to say I was overwhelmed by the tsunami of trauma that you told me and all the things that had happened since 2010, which cements you as still my worst case. And it's still living, it's a still living bereavement for you every single day. And so I just knew that we had to talk to Mark and his wider family about how bad the family courts can get, and how they can damage not just the parents but the wider family, because in your case your family were key to everything on that very first day we went to court. And what has really struck me, having gone through your updated information and the bits we've talked about, is that they have really made being a dad a criminal offence, and that is now official. So before we go back to 2010 and talk about those key things that happened then, let's just talk a little bit about you, Mark. You're a dad to 3 plus 2 children that you're a father figure to. You left home and joined the army at 16.
Yeah.
What was that like for Mum and Dad?
It was nerve-wracking. It was upsetting because I was just a teenager myself when I had Mark. But he always wanted to be in the army, and we promised never to stop any of them, but just encourage them.
Right.
And then when he reached the age he was a cadet, he was top. And then we take him around for the recruitment and everything. And then
he's still a boy at 16,
yes, and then he went to Dover because it still was college. And we used to travel back and forward to Dover to see, and then he was one of their top athletes. He had his own rise, cycled, racing, and everything he does was on top, which make us very proud.
And the army welcomed that? They liked that?
Yes.
They encouraged it?
Yes, make us very proud of him. Oh. And we used to do Parents' Day, and not knowing that Brian had brain damage, they asked us, when is he going to join up?
Oh. Yeah, I remember
because
that.
of the example that
Mark had given.
Yeah. So we just said no, he won't be. And then, but it was nerve-wracking.
And you stayed for 12 years.
Yes,
12 years. Yeah.
And where did you go with that? Did you go abroad? Did you travel?
I went to most part Germany, America, Canada. The station at Bovington. So yeah, I enjoyed. It was an adventure.
Right, at 16, it's going to be an adventure, isn't it? Yeah.
It's worrying for me,
funny stories,
but not for Mum.
Yeah, because he used to correspond frequent.
Yeah.
And then I didn't hear from him. And that at the time they were going to Ireland and everything. Yeah. And it was horrible.
So you went to Northern Ireland and you weren't...
No, they didn't, but at the time there was trouble there.
That was going on at the time.
Right, so you were worried he was going to be sent.
I didn't have any choice. I had to write to
the army.
Say, where
is my child?
The day I found that out, right, there was a parade. We was on parade, and because I was having so much fun, I'd forgotten about my parents. I didn't forget them. I just didn't have time to write to them. Yeah. This is back in the day we had to write letters and then go to a telephone box and this and the other. So I hadn't written to them for some time. Anyway, there was something was happening in Germany and in Ireland and everything else. So we had a massive parade. The colonel came out and everything else, and it was all on parade. And the colonel started going on about communication, family, and so on and so on and so on. And so there's 1,000 soldiers all on parade there. Oh gosh. And then all of a sudden it says, right, Price, front and centre. And in front of the whole regiment, I'm marching to the colonel thinking, what's going on? It says, mothers are important. Mothers are this, and parents are this. And because you haven't written to your mother, she's written to the colonel and she's this and that. And you have to write to your mother, report to my office afterwards and write, and in front of the whole regiment. And so for the rest of the week, every soldier I saw.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can
imagine.
Have
you written to your mother? Have you written to your mother? And from that day onwards, I've promised to keep in touch. Just reminding me how much my mother's love is.
Yeah.
And the father's love is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important. Goodness. And so you came out of the army after 12 years.
Yes.
And have you taken a trade that you did in the army and followed it through, or have you done something completely different since?
When I came out of the army, I was going to be a policeman. It just seemed to follow suit.
Yeah.
I waited for a while. I filled in some forms, went to Hendon.
Oh.
And then I believe I passed the test, or passed part of the test. And they said that, but there wasn't any spaces in Dorset.
Oh, you wanted to go back that way?
Yeah, I wanted to say in Dorset Police, if I was going to go to Dorset Police sort of thing. So they said there weren't any spaces, or they weren't hiring in Dorset Police, and plus there was a height restriction and that sort of thing. And they said I'd be better off in Metropolitan or Thames Valley.
Okay.
I didn't want to move, and I was just found out that Alexander was about to be born. So I just started helping out on the building site. And then I've been on that ever since.
Now that leads us very nicely into Alexander, who is your eldest child. And when we met, he was looking to join the army himself.
Yes, he wanted to join my regiment.
Yes. Yeah. And he was just 18, 19 then, a little bit older than 16. Yeah. But was it scary for you, thinking that he was going to go off and do the same, or were you happy having done that yourself? You knew he'd be okay?
I wanted him to have the adventure, but I was becoming politically aware of my surroundings. I knew that whilst I enjoyed the army and I enjoyed my mates, the army is a tool that sometimes often gets misused for certain things. And I didn't want my son to be misused.
Okay.
You know, and so I was worried about that, but I wanted him to have the adventure.
And he's been in...
No, he did basic training. He got injured.
Oh.
And then he came out and he said, you can go back in, but he lost interest then.
Right.
After the injury.
And he's now 34.
Yes.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting because you are now a granddad.
Granddad, proud granddad.
And he's got a second baby due in September. So you are great-grandparents.
Yes.
Yes.
And how many grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have overall?
8 grandchildren.
8 grand.
And then
At the moment, come September, we're 4 great.
Grandchildren.
4 great.
And that makes it a busy
Busy
job for you
Christmas.
too, isn't
It
it?
is.
Yeah?
Yes, it is.
And how did you feel when you suddenly, your first child is going to have their own child and you're suddenly going to be a granddad? How does that
I was
resonate with you?
amazed. I remember when Alexander was born, I was just beside myself. And then I was also trying to remember what he's going to now feel. But I didn't want to spoil it for him. I didn't want to tell him what to expect. I just go in there and enjoy the roller coaster ride that's being a parent. And you know, I cried like a baby when my baby was born. You know, and he did the same. So I didn't want to take it away from him.
Yeah.
Go in there and experience it because it's fantastic. Back in my dad's day, the dads weren't allowed in the sort of...
You didn't go in, you were kept outside.
You weren't allowed in.
Weren't allowed in, but I was allowed in to watch the birth of my first child.
Right.
And I was like, that was fascinating. It's absolutely, you know, I know it's gory and bits and pieces, right? But from a father's perspective, it was just fascinating. I was like, this is the most perfect thing I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
The most perfect thing.
And he's now married and he's got 2
married,
children.
yeah.
And how does being a grandfather change your view of all these things?
I want to step in.
Back? I was going to say, do you take a step back or do you take a step in?
I want to step in, but I know I need to leave him to figure this out. But I'm just round the corner if he needs me.
Right.
You know, I'm literally just round the corner if he needs me. And he doesn't. And I'm like annoyed that he doesn't need me that much. You know, but no, I'm just there. And
they might when another one comes along. Cause
they may do, yeah.
It gets a bit juggling at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is stuff around the house that he needs doing, like with his shed and car and everything else. So I'll be round there in a minute sort of thing to help him out.
And it's lovely that he's just round the corner.
Yeah.
So moving on from Alexander, we come to Jada, who is how we met.
Yeah.
And she's now 18. But at the time that we met, you also had a partner, Lorraine, who had a little girl.
Yes, Leanne.
Leanne. And you basically took over being her father as well. And
that was more or less by accident, that was. I mean, she was there. I couldn't ignore her. So I was just, I was a parent to her as well.
And you and Lorraine then had Caden, who's now 12.
Yes.
And
13 next month.
Goodness me. So at this point, the numbers are increasing and you don't just have your own children, you're being a father to Lorraine's child as well. Now, unfortunately, you and Lorraine did eventually split up and she went on to have another child, Mika.
Yes.
Now, this is where I find it fascinating because this, to me, tells me exactly who you are as a person. Because when you split up and then you were having time with Caden, Leanne was still coming with him because you were essentially her dad as well, although you're not her biological father. And then Mika would get upset because the elder two were coming to see you and she was being left behind. And you offered to take her as well.
Yeah, that was about, she's 9 now. It was about 6-7 years ago. I used to pick the other 2 up, bring them round to mine. We do, parent things sort of thing. Mika would get upset every time her siblings left the house. And one day just said, do you want to come? And her eyes lit up and yeah. And then she came along. That was 6 years ago. And she's been coming over since. So
isn't that lovely?
It's just a natural...
As parents, you must be so proud that your son can be like that and is so welcoming.
Sometimes we thought, is he mentally healthy?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because...
Taking on all this responsibility.
Because why, after all what he's going through, why take up another child?
The thing is, it's not the children's fault.
No.
It's nothing to do with the children.
That's what he said. It's not the children's fault.
They didn't choose any of this.
No.
right? They want a smoother ride as they possibly can get. And there's going to be a couple of bumps.
Yeah.
But it's our job as parents to smooth the road for them. And hopefully it won't be as bumpy as our road. And then generation, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And so all those kids deserve sort of two parent, I mean, mum and dad type of thing. Rough or smooth and good or bad. But they need it. And so they love it. They love the rough housing. They love sort of, mum's all gentle with them and everything else. And I'm taking them to adventure parks and throwing them off stuff and everything else. But they come.
And they all mix in together. And they all get on together. Yeah.
I just love the white noise when they're around, just like this craziness.
Yeah.
I'm actually relaxed then. I find that fun. I enjoy that. When the house is empty, that's when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. And they all live close to you.
Yeah.
So it's great that they're hands-on and you can join in with everything.
Yeah.
So let's go back to 2006 then, when you met Jada's mum.
Yeah.
She had a child from a previous relationship at the time.
Yeah.
And as far as you knew, he was just an abusive ex-partner, and there wasn't really much contact or anything.
Well, I didn't know him. I've never met him before. I mean, I met the mum. She worked in London as a school teacher, and we seemed to get on okay. She had a child from a previous relationship. As we got to know each other, she told me that this guy had done all these sort of nasty things to her and her family and everything like that. But there was nothing specific. There was no dates to it. It was just nasty. It was just nasty. Right, and so...
and you just went with that because you were together?
Yeah, I've never experienced this up until this point, and all of this family court stuff, I've never experienced it.
Because you and Alexander's mum just got on with it.
We got on with it, yeah. We broke up and we go, put Alexander first and co-parented and fine. There was no issues. There was, we arranged dates. There was, nobody was involved. We just got on with it. Much like Lorraine and myself now. Right, so, anyway, so we met and she told me all this stuff about him and I thought, okay, well, that's not me. You're okay now and we'll just move on. As the relationship sort of developed, I met some of Mum's family and I found out that Mum's original child, Mum's first child, had been molested by her sister's son, basically her cousin. And he was actually in prison at the time when we met. So this had happened before I didn't, so he was actually in prison. He'd been tried and everything. He was in prison for messing about with Mum's daughter. And so as I got to know the family more, there's loads of little, I wouldn't say nuggets, but like pebbles in your shoes, like, stones that you trip over of little things that were happening on that side of the family. Today, I know them as red flags, but then I had no idea what I was walking into. I had a business partner, Dave, who he's very astute. He can see things way off. Right. He kept telling me, Mark, there's something off. There's something off. Don't, as a mate, there's something off. And I didn't listen to him. And he's been right about so many different things, but I didn't listen to him. And so, we met in 2006. And, we mortgaged a house. We mortgaged a house via her sister, Mum's sister, which I shouldn't have done. And it's a conflict of interest. I wanted to go with a conveyancing lawyer. There was a big argument. Didn't I trust her? Didn't I do this? All sorts of stuff. And I was sort of browbeaten into going with it.
And very quickly into all that, Jada's born.
Yeah, and then during that time that she became pregnant, Jada was born, 2008, and things were deteriorating from that point onwards. But there was no violence. There was no anything going on. Nothing had happened.
You just realised that you just weren't meant to be.
We weren't meant to be, yeah. But it was almost too late now because Jada was here. Mm-hmm. And then it was Mum's sister would pop down with her children, and we'd be playing, we'd be messing about, watching World Wrestling Federation and all sorts of stuff, and I'd be throwing the kids all over the place. But that was odd as well. That was sort of, as I was playing with the kids, it seemed like they were taking notes.
Oh, right.
It
so
just
you
seemed like
started a sense that something was...
Yeah, they were just like watching me. Like, I just found that odd.
Yeah.
Just found that odd.
And you then came home one day to find that Mum and Jada and all their stuff
had disappeared from the house. About a year's passed now. And, Mum and... I came home from work, the possessions had gone, or most of their possessions had gone. So I phoned up, sort of what's going on, didn't get an answer.
Right.
I then phoned up the sister. The mum said that you'd be lucky if you ever see your daughter again after all the things you've done. And I said, well, what have I done? What have I done? What's going on? She started reeling off some of the allegations, but they were the same allegations she told me about this other fella.
Right.
And I said, I think you're getting your guys mixed up because you're describing to me what this other guy's done. And you're saying that I've done the same thing.
And again, now you know that as a red flag.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you did the thing that a lot of dads do with that before they end up speaking to me is they try to explain, they try to say that's not true, and then it leads into further discussions and it becomes a little bit kind of out of control, and suddenly all sorts of information and evidence, as we now call it, is starting to be collated against you. Now, you were on Jada's birth certificate as her father, so you had parental rights and responsibilities. So you then went to her preschool to see her.
Yes. So
which you could do. You had PR and there were no court orders at that point preventing you seeing her. Now, this is where I see the first real key of the use of the racism in your case, because you're at this stage you're ex-army, and again I've seen this used against dads in the past who are ex-forces, and Kafkas like to suggest that because you're ex-forces you're a certain type of person. You went to the nursery and somebody rang the police, and I'm going to quote from what we've got here, and falsely claimed that a black man tooled up looking to take children from the preschool was outside.
Yeah, that's what the police told me. Yeah.
And that, in a nutshell, becomes your case. Yeah.
But what happened was, I hadn't seen Jada for a while at that point, and I wanted to go and see, I was still paying for the nursery. So I said, right, I'll just pop along. I'm working locally. I'll pop round there and go and see her. So I phoned up the nursery prior rather than just turn up.
Just turn up, yeah.
Right. So the manager said, what do you want to do? He says, well, I want to see my daughter. Presumably you've been told what's happened, that we'd broken up. And at that point, that's all that had happened. Right, we'd broken up. And so I'd like to go and see my daughter. She said, do I want to take her away? She says, no, I haven't got a car seat. I'm in the van. Right, and the van's full of tools, and I haven't got the facilities to take, but I haven't got the car seat, nothing. So I got to the preschool, and there's a police car there. Right, and I just ignored it. I thought it was like a show and tell thing for the school, for the kids. The police there, and be kind to the police, that sort of thing. So I just ignored it, carried on walking. The next thing I know, armed police, stop where you are. It's just. And I carried on walking because I just... You
thought, this isn't to do with me. I'm just popping to see my daughter.
I'm just coming to see my daughter. Yeah. Right? And then they sort of two of them come out, sort of grabbed me, sort of shoved me over to a wall. Says, police. And they started patting me down and everything else. Says, what's going on? Says, we've had reports of a black man who's tooled up, allegedly, looking to take children from his nursery school. I says, no. When I phoned up, I said, I've got tools in the van, right? And I'm just coming to see my daughter. Says, no, that's not we here. Right, and then so it got de-escalated, and it was one of the policemen who afterwards was quite calm. He says, look, I think it's time you go and see a solicitor. I've seen this before. Go and see a solicitor, and that was it. That's when you knew that. That's when I knew this is something serious is going on.
Yeah, and you started off with a solicitor, and it wasn't really going anywhere, and that's when you came to Fathers for Justice for help.
Well, I started with a solicitor the first court hearing was September 2009, and I had a solicitor at the time. I went in there. I hadn't seen Kafkas. I didn't know who they were. Right, so they'd written to me a few days before the hearing.
Right.
To introduce themselves, but that was more or less it. So I then went to the court, sat in the courtroom, sat in the waiting room, and this old fella came out, Kafkas, shaking his head. Says, "Oh, doesn't look good, doesn't look good." Says, "What doesn't look good? I've not said anything yet."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, she said this, she said that, she said this." Says, "Right, hang on a second. According to the solicitor, when I filled in the forms, I'm supposed to send in this C100, and if there's any objections to what I was saying on this form, then they should have said a C100A, and I get a response.
A C1A to put down their allegations.
Put down their allegations.
Yeah.
I hadn't received any of that. Nothing. So I'm assuming that there's nothing to worry about. We just could go into court and sort out arrangements and then walk out. Went in there, and the next thing I know, I've been asked to do a domestic violence intervention program. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. Where did this come? Where did this come from? Right? I had no idea what And the solicitor was like, "Yeah, you're lucky you got off with that." I said, "What do you mean? I didn't get off with anything." I was so upset. I was fuming because nothing was presented. There's no evidence about anything, and
just allegations.
Up until that point, my only experience of court is watching it on television.
Right. It's not like Judge Judy, is it?
No, it's nothing like that at all. And I was like just shocked and angry. And they said I have to do a domestic violence intervention program. I said, I ain't doing that. Said, why would I do that? He says, because you committed domestic violence. I said, no, I haven't. Somebody says I have, but I haven't done that. Surely you have to try that first.
And this is where you start to discover that the family courts are literally a law unto themselves, because in family courts you only have to say that something happened, and then they judge it on the balance of probability. It's not like going to the police and the criminal courts where they have to, is it a criminal burden of proof? Has it actually happened or not? Well, so just based on allegations, they had made the decision that you had to go and do these courses.
And they said if I didn't go, I'd be in contempt of court. And I said, look, contempt of what court? Because so far you've condemned me for something that I haven't done, and there's no evidence to support it. He says, I'm not doing it. He says, right, you're going to end up, in trouble, Mr. Price, if you don't go to do the domestic violence intervention program. And I said, this is ridiculous. I mean, so a few weeks afterwards, I got this letter from DV, whatever it was, and they said I had to fill it in. I phoned them up. I said, right, what do I need to do? And they said that you have to come in, you have to admit what domestic violence you've done, you have to admit this, admit to that, admit to this. I said, well, I haven't done anything.
So they immediately, and we know this, say that you can't go on the course because you don't admit to it. It's like a catch-22.
Yeah, I said, I don't admit to it, and I'm not complying with the court order. I said, well, so anyway, they went back, and I must have been to court maybe 3 times between September and November, saying that they wanted me to do domestic violence course and this, that, the other. And I said, I'm not doing it because I haven't done any domestic violence. And at the time, I didn't know family court was different from criminal court. I didn't know there's a difference.
Yeah.
Again, I had
that
no
balance
knowledge.
Probability, yeah.
Right. So I just assumed that they'd have to do an investigation to find out what's going on and then come back to court.
And you'd assume, like most normal people, that they'd want to see the facts and they'd make a ruling based on the facts.
Yes.
But you're guilty until, you're just guilty.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's how it felt.
Yeah. And so you came to one of our help and advice sessions, and I remember you were very organised. You had all your paperwork. Most people sort of pull it out and it's all folded in. You were on this. You were, and I put that myself down to your military background, because you work in a certain way, you think in a certain way, you're prepared, you're gathering evidence. And what we couldn't understand was that you were at this stage starting to have the contact in the contact centre, but these contact reports were extraordinary.
Yeah.
Now, I've used contact centres in many different scenarios over the last 25 years. And if you're in a contact centre with a contact supervisor in the room with you and things like that, and they're monitoring you, you know that they pretty much see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yet you were getting the most extraordinary reports, and we couldn't understand two things: why you were being sent down this route with the domestic violence thing when there hadn't been any investigations, and also why these reports were coming through, and they were extraordinary, and you were absolutely adamant that the reports were not true.
Yeah.
And we had to try and navigate this, and I want to just identify some of the allegations that were made in the reports about you, and given and if people out there have never been to a contact centre, they're often in maybe like church rooms like we were using, or school buildings. Some of them are dedicated centres, and the staff are literally there, so they are as distant as we are. They're with you doing the activities, yet your reports were saying things like you set off fire alarms, you were kicking in doors. And one of them said that someone witnessed you sexually molesting your daughter at the contact centre. Now, I know if that ever happened, it wouldn't just appear in a report later on and you'd carry on having your contact centre. Contact would stop. The police would be involved. Yet you were getting reports like this all the time. And to me, that just didn't add up. There was something about the way that the contact centre were managing the contact centre, and I know how they should be managed, that would never allow these things to happen and let them continue happening and them continuing writing reports. So that was kind of a bit of a red flag to me. And the other thing was that, of course, they were sending you down a route without any investigation. So we came on board, and this brings us to the particular key part about your case, which is why, for me, it's the worst case that I've ever had to deal with. It's the one that I remember the most. We went to court on, I think it was the 6th of December, 2010. Now, it was memorable for two reasons for me. One was that you were joined with all your family and friends. I'd never been to court with quite so many people. But again, this comes back to the real person that you are, is that these people believed you, they supported you, and they came with you to court. Now, that's quite unusual. It probably wouldn't be allowed to happen now.
That's why you cry. I saw you when they came out to quest. She break down.
Well, that day we were all in tears that day at the end of the day. So I was completely overwhelmed that you had such amazing family support. Now, there was how do you think? Because I think people had travelled from abroad.
Well, Mum and Dad came from Florida.
Yes, that was right. Yes,
they came from Florida to support me. I was a coach of a youth rugby team.
That's right.
Right. So, so some of the lads who knew Alexander's age, they came.
Yeah.
Had some friends.
Sarah,
Alexander's mother came.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Had all sorts of people turned up.
And Alexander was there as well.
Alexander was there as well.
And he was just 19.
Yeah.
Did you know when you arrived at court that day that he was going to want to go in and speak to the judge?
No, I didn't know.
But he did, didn't he?
I didn't know he was going to. I assumed that everybody would get to speak to the judge.
Oh, right.
All the people I brought, because they were all witnesses. Because I brought them as character witnesses, and I listed them on my paper, and sent it into court prior to that. So that, again, I didn't know how the courts work. I just said, right, my mum's bringing in witnesses, so why can't I bring them? I'm going to bring a truckload.
Right.
So I brought the witnesses to all speak on my behalf. I didn't know they couldn't go in. I didn't know anything. But anyway, that was my thoughts on it. And so I just wanted Alexander... Well, I just wanted people
I don't think you would have been able to stop him. I think he was very determined that day that he was going to go in and say what he wanted to say to the judge.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. He's still just 19, which is quite young. And he went in and he spoke directly to the judge and told... Has he ever told you exactly what he said when he went in there?
Not really, no. He just
been told.
He just told me that you're my dad. That's it. And what our son's supposed to... I don't know. He just told me. That was it. He says you're my dad, and I love my dad, and I want to follow in his footsteps. I want to do what he used to do. Is generally that.
Right.
So
I mean, that was following on from the being so many of you there. I mean, I was quite taken aback by he was just so determined.
Yeah.
He was very clear what he was going to say, and he didn't think twice about stepping in and supporting you speaking up for you, which again I think says volumes about you as a father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with the coach, with the coaching, with rugby, it's just step up, do your best, give it 100%, and that's it. That's all that's required of you. And we can see if you're doing your best. We can, and that's it. We'll support you whichever way.
And he took that and did it for you, which is remarkable. Why did you decide to go along? What was it that made you all want to turn up for Mark?
Yeah, we met her before, and some of the things that she said, and the way she carried on. And I think on one occasion we went to the centre as well.
You went to the contact centre as well?
Yes, the centre.
Yeah.
And the report that we got after we left, it was literally 150% different.
So even you, having been there and seen what you'd seen, when you get the report, you're going, that's not add up.
Everything's different.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. So why was it changed that drastically? And why were the charges so much that he had to pay that amount of money?
Yes, no, you've just reminded me. Yes, because all the money.
He paid to go in. He paid
you were being
for
invoiced for extra things.
Yeah. He paid about 4 different charges for the handover, the handback.
They were just making stuff up.
The exit. You couldn't leave unless she goes. And all those things. Literally, there's about 4 different things.
Were appearing on all these invoices. So not only were they completely made up.
And these things were charged separately.
Right, so when I initially went to the contact centre, we had a shopping list.
Yes. Of what you wanted them to help you with.
So they had supervision was £25 an hour.
Gosh, that was a long time ago. Yeah. I can just say that's not
the case was £25.
So supervision was £25 an hour. The room was £25 an hour. A report was £25, and that was it initially. Right, so I had 2 hours, so it was basically £125 plus VAT.
Right.
I had to pay each fortnight.
Yeah.
So we went to court, and we had to go to. We went to court, and we then got changed from supervised to unsupervised.
Okay.
Because there were 6 contact visits with reports that went to the court, and those were fine. Those initial ones were fine.
Right.
And then it all started to change when we went to unsupervised. Right. So me now, so there's no supervisor. There's literally £25 per hour for the room.
Yeah.
And no report. So it's literally £50
flat fee
fortnight. Plus VAT. So I then get a bill now because I noticed when Jada was being dropped off, it wasn't with the mum. It was like the manager of the centre, right? So I then get a bill like it's £50 each way to pick up from mum's to the contact centre and £50 to go back. I says, well, I didn't agree this. Why should I be paying £50?
Yeah.
Right. So I refused to pay that bit. Says, right, first of all, if you're going to add something to the bill, you need to talk to me first and see if I agree with it or not. I was running a small business at the time, so I sort of hadn't, So that started adding up, and then it was £25 to take her from the reception downstairs to the room I was in, right? And then £25 back. I said, this is ridiculous. You're just adding stuff on. So we've emailed you with the new updated shopping list. So I've not received any email. And then the argument sort of started, well, I'm not paying that, I'm not paying this. I'll pay what you sent me.
Yeah.
And on the original shopping list, I'll do that. So I was paying that. And so this woman, Alex Blythe, who runs the contact centre, Diversity Contact Centre, she started just wanting to pick arguments with me. So I ended up going to buy a dictaphone from Curry's, and I just had it in my pocket all the time. So every time I went to the contact centre, I'd just click it on record and just go in.
Because this is the days before we've got all the phones and all the bits and pieces that we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just... I could see, I didn't know why it was going on.
And we couldn't work out why it was going on either. And then we got to this court hearing, and we arrived to hear from Kafkas that they'd got some new information.
Because we went before, didn't we? They called for a meeting beforehand. And there was
they
like
wouldn't say to us what it was, that there was something that they knew, but they wouldn't tell us what it was. And which really doesn't help the situation, because of course everybody's imagination starts going awry. And we get to the court, and the judge says she's got this information from Kafkas, but she needs to consider whether or not she's going to tell us what it is, because she's concerned possibly of people's reactions and things like that. So she adjourns. We were in there barely a few minutes, so she adjourns for about an hour, and we come back outside and we go and sit in a little waiting room, and I feel really...
It's a cafe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I feel so awful about this because I gave you such a hard time when we came out the courtroom.
Because you thought something sinister.
I was like, what is it? What is it? Mark, we have to go through your entire life. And we were pulling up things, and I was saying, okay, well, what could it possibly be? And Matt had come with us, and we were really giving you a hard time to see...
But I knew I hadn't done nothing wrong.
But you knew you hadn't done, and we just couldn't get to the bottom of it. So we go back in, and the judge, I remember as we walked in, what was quite unusual is that we went to sit down the front, but Mum was sat right at the back of the courtroom, not beside us with anybody, but she had been put right at the back of the courtroom, and she was sitting on her own. And the judge said she had decided to give us the information that was in this report. And I remember literally shaking, thinking, what on earth is it going to be? And she advised us, and this is where I will never forget your case, and it will always be one of the most extraordinary things I've ever heard. She advised us that Mum was in a lesbian relationship with Alex Blythe, who was the contact centre manager, and that the two of them had conspired to write these false and malicious contact centre reports about you to give to Kafkas and the court, essentially to stop you having contact with your daughter. And it also transpired that your daughter was sleeping in the same bed as Alex Blythe.
It's on file,
Yeah. Can you remember how you felt when you were sitting there and you heard that? Because I can remember.
I remember you started crying.
I started crying.
Yeah. It felt like for a year, I had this pressure on me. For a year, I couldn't figure out what was going on. Something was going on, and I just couldn't see it. And from the allegations of me actually molesting my own daughter in the contact centre, from the police coming around the following day, from all sorts of things, from the judges. There was
something like 127
allegations
within those reports.
Yeah. Apparently, Mum's sister had thrown their children across the rooms when I was referring back to the wrestling. Right. But according to her, I was so angry I threw her children across the room. Right. All these different allegations were being levelled at me. And then I was getting these reports. The Kafkas officer, Marion Werner Jones, she said that because I was in the art, she was a German woman. Mm-hmm. And because I was stationed in Germany at some point, she said, I know what you soldiers are like.
This is the racism and the anti-military agenda that I've said before. And I have seen that happen repeatedly in other cases.
So she said, I know what you like, but not once did they ever ask what regiment I was in.
Yeah. But
they just assumed that I was some sort of mad, murdering sort of, sold. So going back to, anyway, so I heard this news and I was reading it and I couldn't see it. I was reading it and my eyes went blurry and I couldn't see it. And I was like trying to read it. And at the same time, I could feel this weight just coming off my head. Up until that moment, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not a drinker, but I remember I was trying to do a statement one day and I bought a bottle of vodka, litre bottle of vodka, and I'm sitting there writing a statement, drink. And then the next thing you know, the bottle's empty, but I'm still sober. I'm still like typing away.
Right.
I wasn't, and I was like, where did that go? And I was like, and then went to bed, got up, went to work again. And I was doing that more and more often than not.
Now you had an answer.
The day that came out, I call it, it's like the 7th of December was Pearl Harbor, but the 6th, I call it my day of infamy.
Right.
The day that happened, we was all coming back in the minibus. I got home and I realised I hadn't slept properly for a long time.
Yeah.
I went to bed that night That was 6th of December, and I swear I woke up on the 8th.
Really?
I just slept the whole day, the whole following day. I just slept, and then cried.
I just remember it was when she had told us this, and of course they tried to kind of gag us to not tell anybody, which is obviously the worst thing you can kind of do to somebody like me, because I will then just start telling everybody. They tried to stop us telling, even Matt, when we went outside. They didn't want you telling your family and anything like that. But nothing else happened in that hearing.
No, she wasn't. I mean, I remember walking, when she told us this in the courtroom, I could hear somebody crying behind me. Right? I presume it was...
Which was Mum.
And then there was some shuffling and people moving around and rustle and bustle sort of thing. And then as soon as the hearing was concluded, they just rushed out. And they was in a little room with a slit in the window. And I walked past, and I could see her mum with her head in her hands, and a barrister and a solicitor and everything else all pointing and shouting at her and having a go at her. Right? I was so tempted to burst into the room.
Actually, it's worth clarifying, because they didn't know either, did they? They found out the same time that we found out. Yeah.
So I felt like bursting into the room and just go, you effing this. And I thought, nah, that's not...
You'd have just given them what they wanted if you'd have done that.
Right, but I looked through the window, and then she briefly looked up and saw me. I just shook my head and walked off. And then we all just went home.
I mean, I find it staggering that essentially what Mum and Alex Blythe had done was create false and malicious evidence in family proceedings. They should have faced criminal proceedings for that. I mean, this is me looking back at it now, and I'm saying, good grief, we literally walked out, and that was the end of the conversation about that. That was it.
Yeah.
Everybody was just meant to carry on as normal, sort out the contact. You had some contact sessions in a contact centre, and it moved on to unsupervised, and then Jada came to your house. But it was a crime what they did, and they should have been punished in some way.
Yeah.
Kafkas refused to do anything about it.
Yeah.
We contacted the National Association of Child Contact Centres, who also refused to do something, and their get out was that because the contact centre was privately run, they weren't under their body, so there was nothing they could do about it. Now, Alex Blythe did leave her position at the contact centre. She wasn't sacked. She just left,
well, I think
free to go and work somewhere else without any of this on her record.
I, as far as I was aware, because she was summoned to court in the following March or May with the final hearing, but she never turned up. Nobody turned up.
No.
And because it was a finding of fact hearing, but yeah, she was summoned. And I think on the discovery, when we found this out, she was also summoned to come in to give evidence, but she never turned up.
She never turned up.
So
she just walked away
and
essentially got away with it. And that just shows how lax the family court is, because they say, you know, these are our orders, and then people don't comply with them, and they just don't really care, and they just don't do anything about it. Because the other really troubling thing for me was that your contact got restarted and it carried on, and you eventually get a final order, and within that final order, Kafkas were to work with you and Mum.
Yes.
To do now. So this is a court order.
Yes.
And there were directions in the court order for Kafkas to do specific things with you and Mum to make sure that the contact that got established carried on.
Yes. And so we'd work together and work out a plan and that sort of thing. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Kafkas ignored your phone calls.
Yeah.
And they just did not comply with an order. They ignored it.
Yeah, basically.
And again, nothing happens.
Yeah. Well, essentially they said because the case is now over, is now outside of their remit.
But there was an order for them to do some work with you and Mum.
Yeah.
And they just
Nothing
shrug
happened.
their head and move on to the next case. Because there is no aftercare service in the family courts, is it? Once you're out and you've got your final order, they don't really care what happens to you. So you get some contact with Jada set up, and you have a period of relatively settled time, and Mum and Dad and all your family can start building a relationship with her. And Alexander did, and Leani, and then Jaden comes along, and and you got to see her properly and spend time with her, did you?
Yes, whenever she come to visit Mark, he would take her to us, and we used to correspond.
Yeah.
And even our school activities and things that you do. And I text her. I will send money for her for her birthday.
Yeah.
And she will ring back and thank you, Nana. And I'll text her. And then...
So what we would consider just normal things set
yes,
up. Everything's going
just
along
for
nicely.
A short while, yes.
Yeah.
And even she had a dress which was too big. Mom would send it to me for me to alter it for, because I'm a centrist. And I done that and everything. So
everything was going okay for a while.
We were friends.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that. And
she was embraced by the rest of your family and involved in things.
And then all of a while it
starts to go.
One day she came round and she looked upset. And that's when we more or less noticed something was wrong. In the beginning, she used to come and visit Mark, our dad. And at first, when she'd come for a long weekend, Mark would do our laundry, wash her, because Mark had a set of clothes at his place.
Right.
And and the clothes that the mom sent her down, he's got to return it.
Right.
And so he wasn't allowed to keep any clothes that she sent with her.
Which is, I'm afraid, that's a common...
And upon doing any washing or anything.
So he used to wash her clothes. And then all of a sudden she stopped. She would wear her clothes and she'd put it in a bag. And Daddy not supposed to wash it.
Right.
And if I find that was a bit hard, that was strange. And then vice versa, everything she would keep to herself. And I said, that doesn't make sense, Mark. Something is going on. So I noticed there was a change. And this particular Sunday, she came round. She and her dad had a fallout. And when her dad said anything, she pretended as if she didn't hear.
Okay.
And he said, did you hear what your dad said? And she said, what? Pretend. And just look at her, give her old-fashioned look. And she knew what I was saying. And she was, it's over there. But she would more or less kind of... And at first...
She was like kind of holding back a little bit.
And at first I thought there was some jealousy between she and Leonie.
Right.
Because they were very close.
Yeah.
So Leonie would be with Mark and Jada will come.
Yes.
And Leonie will stand one side and Jada will come. And I could see they pushing each other.
Right.
I could see.
Vying for your attention.
I said to Mark, be careful, because there's some jealousy there. And Mark even said, well, Mom, they're growing up together, they've got to learn to share. And I said, well, but I could see, but it wasn't coming from Jada. It was something, I could see something was said.
Right.
And Jada is trying to...
She's then trying to work out where her loyalties are, where she fits into all this, and if what she's being told is true.
And at one time I take her in the bedroom and we were talking, let's somehow have a girly talk. And I said, if you're okay and everything. And she said, fine. I said, what's the matter? Nothing, Nana. I said, you sure? She said, nothing. And I said, something wrong? She said, no. I said, okay.
But you could sense...
I could sense something.
And then you had an incident where you had... Now, this follows on actually from another court hearing that you had to face, which was that you had to try and sort out a child maintenance order.
Yeah, that's right.
And they had tried to repossess your house.
They tried to do a force the sale of the house.
Right.
That got dismissed, as long as I could pay X amount per month.
And quite interestingly, there you actually had a judge for the first time who acknowledged your military career and that you were a veteran, and instead of turning that against you, actually understood, I think, and it was just ahead of Remembrance Day, and the judge refused to basically kick you out of your house. Yeah. And you had the foresight to say, yes, obviously it's the right decision, but you knew deep down that actually it was going to upset Mum, because ultimately she wanted you kicked out on the street, and your underlying fear was that while it was a good reaction and a good outcome for you, it was going to come back and bite you in another way. And it did a few days later, because Jada had come down and there'd been an incident where you'd been washing her hair.
Well, this is a few months. Yeah, so the weekend. So I had the hearing on. I believe it was a Friday, and I said to the judge, "Look, when this news gets back to Mum, it's going to have an impact on the relationship between me and my daughter." From that was November the 7th or 8th, and so from that point onwards, I picked her up the following weekend, and the first thing Jada says, like, Mum doesn't like you, and it was worse to that effect.
Now, what we must say is that actually is not unusual in cases where children visit one parent, because some parents cannot control their behaviour, and they do say inappropriate things to children which they shouldn't do about the other partner, and they draw them into the actual mechanics of the contact, and they use the children in that way. So that you kind of knew that things like that were being said, and you kind of brush it off and you deal with it like a normal person does, and you don't let the child carry on talking about it. Yeah.
So I mean, I sort of deflected from what she was saying. I just looked, it's nothing to do with you. Let's just carry on with the weekend. Let's just, it's sort of leading up to Christmas.
Yeah, we've got things to look forward to.
There's ice skating and so on and so on to go to. Let's do that. So, but I could see she had a bit of a attitude towards me. There was a definite switch. I know that for certain. But we were pleasant enough. I noticed that she'd be watching me more intensely than normal.
Okay.
So I could do something. I could go to the sink and get a drink or something. She'd be like looking at what I'm drinking, and it was just sort of. I found it just
a bit unnerving.
Yeah. Just sort of,
almost similar to how you felt that time when Mum had her sister come round.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just sort of like, I wouldn't say spying or anything, but it was just sort of observing me more than
a child probably
would. I mean, my other kids don't even take any notice of me.
Right.
So, but this, she was like sort of like she's taking a mental note about something.
Right.
Anyway, so the stress of all that, I stopped smoking for like 15 years, and then I started smoking again.
Right.
And then I've since stopped. But at that time, I started smoking again, and I didn't want to, but I found that a way of just releasing stress.
I was going to say, how have you dealt with the stress? Because this is ongoing stress. This is not just you've had a stressful incident. This is building up.
I don't like drinking. I mean, for some reason, if I drink too much, I fall over. I think I'm allergic to drinking, so I tend not to.
You don't go that way.
No, so I just the only I have like just. If I have a cigarette, then it seems to calm me down and everything else. So when I get stressed, I just have a cigarette. Right, and that's it. Calm down. So I stop in the garden and have a cigarette, and that was it. And so that was coming up. And then it was just sort of... She wanted to borrow my iPad one day. And I lent her my iPad, and I was like sort of, because her battery had run out on her phone. Okay. So I lent her my iPad, and she's going through the iPad and everything else. And the iPad's... It's my iPad. It's... For want of a better word, it's got adult settings, but there's nothing disgusting on there. There's nothing on there, right? And so she plays with it, hands it back. That was it. Nothing else. We then go past Christmas, going up to January now. They want to decorate the room. All the kids together said, right, we want to decorate our room, Dad. Decorate our room. So... Okay, we'll go to B&Q's and get these little pots of paint, sample paints.
So they can all try what
they want. Try what colours they like and everything else.
Yeah.
Right, so we're getting ready to do that, but they're not dressed yet. So, let's get dressed, let's get ready to go. So, Jodie's got a beautiful afro, right, and the back of it was quite sort of knotted and everything else, and she was struggling to comb it out. So, I said, right, let me help you comb it out, She says, no, Mum said you're not allowed to touch my hair. I says, look, don't be ridiculous. I mean, Dad, let me just comb the back of it out.
Yeah, and it's not as if you weren't. I mean, because you say the afro. There's a certain way to work with hair like that. You have to look after it in a kind of way. You knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing. Exactly. Yeah. I used to have hair, but yeah. So just comb it out, right? Says, no, Dad, you're not allowed to touch my hair. Mum said you're not allowed to touch my hair, ever. I said, look, this is ridiculous. Obviously, I know where this is coming from, but this is not normal. I was frustrated. I sort of went out the room, slammed the door, sort of went to another room, sat down, just trying to contemplate on what to do next. Because it's not Jada's fault. And something needs to be said to Mum. Something has to happen. And so I just didn't know what to do. So we did eventually go to B&Q's, got the paint pots and everything else, came back. But Jada was just subdued.
She wasn't herself.
But she then came up and says, look, sorry, Dad, but I've been told to tell you that. I've been told that you're not allowed to touch my hair. And then she gave me a cuddle, and that was just, okay, then fine. That's not your fault, darling. You're doing what you've been told to do. But I'm telling you now, this is not normal. This is not right. But we leave it now, and I'll talk to Mum later on. So I drove her back on a Sunday. I think it was the 20th of January. The 19th of January. Dropped off at Mum's. Briefly, not in front of Jada, told Mum what had happened. Right, but that was it. The following Wednesday, I came home from work. There's a police car parked just down the road from my house. So again, not assuming it's to do anything to do with me.
Again, just carry on,
So walked in the house, locked the door, knock on the door. The police are there. They want to investigate an assault. So they wanted to investigate whether a child was assaulted in this house on this day and so on and so on. I said, no, I'm combing her hair. And that was it. No further action. Then the next day, Thursday, came home from work. The postman's already been, opened up a letter from the solicitors, lectures, saying that all contact is suspended under the assault of this, that, the other, taking place on the previous Sunday.
So you come home from work and you go in the house, and then the police knock on your door again.
Yeah.
Does a part of you say, oh my God, here we go again? Or are you still able to think to yourself at this stage that there is good in people and it's a mistake and it's, you'll get over it and people will realise how silly this is?
The moment I dropped Jada off, I suspected, because normally when I drop Jada off, there's Mum lives in Reading, so by the time I get from the house or the drop-off point to the M4, it's about not even 5 minutes, right? And normally between that point and this point, I've received maybe 2 text messages from Mum. What did you do the weekend? How was the weekend? Right, you forgot to do her homework, and so there's a whole list of things. I said, hang on a second, you must have interrogated her the moment she walked into the house and what she did. And then you've got this text message, so that's what normally happens after a drop-off. A whole list of things. On this particular occasion, nothing. I didn't hear anything, which I found was weird.
Okay.
Right, so from that point on, from the moment I dropped her off, I knew something was coming. I felt something was coming. And I felt like it'd been planned to some degree. Right, so when the Wednesday came home from work, knock on the door, police came in, I just started laughing. At him. I knew something. I just felt not relieved or anything, but I knew something was coming. I didn't know what it was, and then the moment you turned up, there you go.
Right.
All right. I'm not losing it. I have got, I can. So he came in. No, he wanted to talk out the doorstep. So no, come on in. I've not got nothing to hide. I'm done with
all that
playing these games and everything else. Come in, see for yourself what's going on. Started looking around and everything else, just sort of chatting. Says, all right, and I made him feel very relaxed. So he seemed quite whatever. So he come in and he looks around and he says, apparently I tried to comb my daughter's hair. And then as he said that, he rolled his eyes. And I said, see? And yes, that's all I was trying to do, comb my daughter's hair. Right? And you were here for that. And we had a bit of a chat, this at the other. I said, was anybody else here? Yes, Liani and Caden were here. Right? And so can I speak to them? So like, they were at the mother's house. I'll give you, here's a number, you can call them and chat to them if you want.
Yeah.
Apparently he did. And they said, Dad was just playing, Dad was just Dad. And that was it. And then that night, though, I thought...
Do you have a sense of dread that we're going to start all this again?
Yeah.
Does it ever go through your mind? Because obviously you then, the next day, get the solicitor's letter saying that contact's going to stop.
Yeah.
Is there any point in your mind where it says, do you know what? You can have this. I'm not doing this again.
It never occurred to me. It's not occurred to me. It's like, I just wanted to... I tried to call the solicitor and said, look, get me and the mum in a room and let's hash this out once and for all. Let's get it sorted out once and for all, right? Take the gloves off, say what we've got to say, and at the end of it, Jada has both of us in our life. And that's it, right? I'm done with this playing these games, right? The solicitor lectures, right? He was as nasty as she was. He's as nasty as she was. He was just horrible. He was horrible.
And when you go back to your mum and dad and you say proceedings are going to have to start again, I'm going to have to go back to court, we're going to have to go through this again, do either of you go, Mark?
Yeah.
Please just walk away for your own sanity.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we says step back, don't walk away.
Just step back, yeah.
If you walk away, then you're going to forget everything. If you step back, you'll give it a break between.
So you were thinking, just give it a break of 6 months, let it all calm down.
Yeah.
But as you know, once you've gone into that court system, it then has a life of its own and it starts generating hearings, so that you can't just go, you know what, let's everybody sit down for 6 months and calm down.
Because I've been to, I think, couple of cases, court cases.
With me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the one I went to in Reading.
That's when I got when I got arrested, yeah.
No, the one before then.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the things that was said, and the judge says, how many fathers have to comb their daughters' hair? How many fathers have to see their daughters when their cycle started? Because all those things, she said that, as a man, Mark not supposed to see those things.
That was the judge's view, that as a
judge
dad...
said, the judge asked, how many fathers see those things? And why is it objected for him to do those things?
Right.
I've got we had 2 daughters.
Yeah, 2 sisters, yeah.
And 2 sons. And I've been through the whole rigmarole with all those things.
But that's what being a dad
And that's
is about.
what being a dad is all about.
Yes.
And the judge said those things. And the thing that bothers me mostly is, from then on, or whatever been happening from 2009 to 11 to 10, whatever it is, every time you go to court, all those things keep coming up. Nothing's changed. Apart from sometimes there's violence or something like that. Why has all those things just keep coming up every time?
They just keep regurgitating the allegations.
Going through and through and through. On one occasion she says...
Because if you repeat it enough, it becomes the truth.
At one occasion she says, when all those allegations were thrown out the first time, the judge didn't like me.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was what she said.
She said I paid the judge.
You paid the judge?
She said apparently I paid the judge in 2011.
That was when you was with...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So those things
Gosh.
keep coming up. The judge didn't like me. And going through the whole rigmarole, the last part of it was the last court case I went to. When the boyfriend says, if the daughter goes on the road and see a silver car come up the road, irrespective of how far it is,
she has a panic.
He's a driver.
Wow.
And he's a police. He's a police. And if those are the things that the police says, you take your mind back. Can you trust the police?
I mean, I think you would be within your rights, Mark, if you sat here today and said, I have no faith in the family courts, I have no faith in the police, I have no faith in the criminal system. But you're not a man that strikes me as being completely beaten down.
He said that to the judge. And he took it back the last court case, and the judge says, well, Mr. Price, you don't think all of us are the same? He said, no, not all of you, not all of you, same thing.
Because he did.
Just the
because I got.
Yeah,
I got
he told the judge
just
that.
Kafkas.
Right.
and then he chastised me for that.
He did.
Yeah.
The judge says,
Because you criticised Kafkas.
Yes.
and because the judge says, they're all within the same umbrella.
Yeah.
I said, well, you're all the same then.
Yes.
They are same umbrella. So that means you criticize all of us.
Yeah.
And because of that, the law solicitor says, when he came out, he swore. He says, I've never seen any blah, blah, idiot like that before as a judge.
Who, me?
No,
Oh,
the solicitor said to the last case we went to.
Yeah.
And I keep looking back because we have traveled all over America. We have read cases over there. We have seen cases. But this one, to me, is one of the nastiest one I've seen. Not because he's our son. He's not 100%. Son goes. But he's our son. And I look back at it and says, no, this isn't right.
Because from the very start.
From the very start,
Yeah.
it has been going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
a lot of it. Sorry to keep on
no, but you've been able to look at other cases in other countries, and so you're not blinkered because he's your son.
And when we came and sat by Mark, we says, okay, we'll cook dinner, because all our things hadn't come up from the States yet. When they did come in containers. So I said, okay, Mark, there's no knife and fork here. Oh, he said, the containers are on the...
Oh, she stole the knife and fork.
But in containers, every knife and fork
on top of the cupboard there. There's a box in there.
There's a box up there. Threw the box down, the first one, nothing. Second one down, nothing.
So when she left, she'd taken
she
took
everything with
and
her.
put the empty box
and leave the empty box there.
Good grief. So you come forward to, like, where are we now? Sort of 2001.
2021.
Yes. Yeah. And not only have you got to start going through the court process again, which is never great the first time around, and I have to say I do question people who want to go back and do it again, but you are a person, I think, who is very principled, and you could see what was right and wrong here, and you still believed that the court process should come out with the right result at the end of it. But not only are you going through this, but you then get diagnosed with cancer.
Right, so the first... I didn't come to... When this all started again, I felt more confident the second time round.
Okay.
I wasn't scared, right? And first of all, I had a ream of evidence from the previous case, right? So I knew the courts would be looking at people that, that I'd have a judge. You
knew how it was going to work this way, and you thought, okay.
Yeah, I knew a judge would be judging us, right? And he would have nothing else to go on apart from what he sees in front of him, right? And so... bang, here's a bundle from 2011. This is what this woman's capable of. This is all the things that she did.
Yeah.
All the stuff she did in the contact centre, everything. This is what this woman is. This is what she does.
Okay.
What she's going to have is, well, he said this, he said that, he did this. I put that in front of the courts thinking that
they would read.
Case closed. I mean, going to sort this out once and for all, stop wasting the court's time. Nothing. They didn't read it.
Okay.
Her solicitor, that was 10 years ago, she's changed and everything else. Look, a snake doesn't change, right? It changes skin every now and then, but it's still a snake.
It was like what had happened literally was totally irrelevant, and they were just looking. And that's actually, I hate to say it, is kind of unusual, because if you do go back with a second set of proceedings and the previous ones have closed, you should really only look at the new evidence that's come to light. But what you're trying to say is that this is a course of conduct that has gone over years, and you need to look at why we were there in the first place and what happened.
And what's happening.
Yeah. So knowing that, again, so pretty early on, your faith surely must be at this point going, why am I bothering with these people? But you are also trying to look after yourself at this time, because you've been diagnosed with cancer, which is not... something you can later on in the year.
Yeah.
So which is not something to be brushed off of, because going through the family courts is an extraordinarily emotional financial, physically draining experience for people who are in good health.
Yeah.
And you've done it once before, you're now going to do it again, and then you get a kick in the side with your cancer diagnosis. What point do you ever say, I've got to look after myself here?
I say that all the time. Whether I do it is a different matter. So I like, you know, I get up every morning, I go to work, I do whatever I need to do at work. I'll eat when I need to eat, and I'll...
But did you not say to yourself, okay, I've got a battle going on here, which is really quite serious. Should you maybe step away from another battle, which you can come back to later on? By this point, Jada's 12?
She's 12, yeah.
So she has her own memories and her own story in her head. She's getting a few potentially placed memories and things at the moment, but it's not like she's been 5 years old. She's had time with you. She does know what you're really like. Did you not consider at that point thinking, I'm just going to step away? I know she's not going in physical danger. She's kind of okay. She's been looked after. She's going to school. I need to look after myself a little bit here. Could I not just walk away from the family proceedings and leave it for a bit? What kept you there, knowing how you've been dealt with before?
I've never lost a child before. I've never sort of, God forbid, you know, lost anybody really close to me. You know, we've not had any, you know, been lucky enough to, you know, not any close bereavements or anything like this. I've seen friends pass away in the service, and I understood that was part of the service, part of the job. And I could compartmentalise that bit. But I've never suffered a loss in that kind of way.
This is a loss. We talk about this as a living bereavement.
Yeah, ambiguous loss. And I don't know how to cope with it, right? And so, and at the same time, again, I'm an ex-soldier, action movies and everything else. The guy goes in, rescues his kidnapped daughter, kicks the place down, kills off the bad guys and runs off, and he's a hero. I grew up in that. Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these people. And I'm a soldier capable of doing some of those things, right? And so...
You're not somebody that would give up.
My daughter's been taken by somebody under false pretenses. They've done it once before. They're trying to do it again. Am I supposed to, as a 12 years in the army, just forget everything and sit back and twiddle my thumbs? I can't. It doesn't sit with me. It doesn't sit honestly with me. I have to do something. Yes, there may be some collateral damage, but that's what happens in every conflict.
So it in your mind, it is inconceivable that you would give up on your daughter, even temporarily, to just get yourself through the initial stages of your cancer and the impact that's having on all your family. You just you have to keep going forward on this.
My mind says, I do listen to my parents. I do need to step back. Sometimes but I'll step back for 5 minutes and then I'll be off again.
Right.
It's not...
We even got...
I can't, my daughter, it's my child. I defy anybody to turn around and say, watch their daughter being mauled by 2 Rottweilers, and somebody says, take a step back, see what happens. I can't do that. And watch her getting mauled by the system. It's.
But in your mind, do you know what the outcome's going to be, even though you're doing this? Does your mind say, yeah, I know that this isn't...
With the courts, I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but with my daughter...
Are you always hopeful then that it will be...
It'll be sorted out. I'm hopeful that she will realise that not everything is black and white.
Mm.
They are grey areas. They are sort of... Humans can make mistakes. Humans do make mistakes. And humans can learn from that and change and redirect themselves towards the light, so to speak. Anybody, I think it's cruel that you can get a child and mould their mind in such a way that it hurts other people. is negative, and you can keep saying those things so the child believes it. I think that's one of the coolest things you can do. Let my kids be free. Just let them free. Let them run around. Let them make their own mistakes, but be there to pick them up when they do and say, right, that's not how to do it. Do it this way, do it that way, and guide them.
But this second set of proceedings didn't end that way for you, did it?
No, it didn't end that way. Right, so I got diagnosed with prostate cancer November 2021. Up until that moment, the previous year, Jada had been given a new mobile phone from her mum, and she had issued the number to us.
Okay.
Right, so we could communicate with her. That's on the 6th, there's previous 20 others.
And that's around about the age when they can have the phones, and you're happy with that, yeah.
So we were communicating and stuff like this, and then the communication became less and less and less. So I was constantly communicating with her. I said, hi, darling, hope you're well.
Keeping the door open.
Yeah, keep the door open, this, that, the other.
And you have the numbers as well, and the family can do
same,
this as well?
Yeah, right. So 2021 comes around. I'm diagnosed with cancer. I don't want to text my daughter, hey, darling, I've got cancer. Right? I think it's a conversation that I should sit down with the children and look, and what the consequences of having cancer is, and so on, so on, so on. I need to have a conversation. She's my daughter. She ought to know. Mm-hmm. I get a text message back, and bearing in mind she's 12, there's when she text messages, there's emojis, there's this, that, the other.
You have to decode the language. Right. Yes.
This message was written like a teacher'd write it.
Okay.
Right? So I knew immediately, this isn't my daughter writing this. Somebody else had written this. No response after that. So I kept texting throughout the following year, up to, once a week. Hi, darling. Weather's nice today. Hope you're outside playing.
Yeah.
You have to stay cool in this weather because it's hot, or just messages of love and affection. 2020, January the 16th, 2023. I'm getting sort of really fed up with this now because Mum and Dad have been sending messages, and they're not getting anything back. You're not getting
replies either. Okay.
Right.
Funny
Alexander's
I
getting
text
messages.
her, and then she'll text me back, and then Mark won't hear nothing, so I'll have to pass the message on to Mark. And when Mark was diagnosed with the cancer, I text her to tell her, and I said, well, your dad will explain to you what it's all about. First of all, I said, your dad had to go into the hospital. He's not well. And she texts back to say what it is. I said, well, it's about a man thing, but Dad will tell you what it is. She said, you tell me because I'm not asking him. I won't ask him. I said, you tell. I said, well, he's a dad.
Yeah, it's not for you really to
let
say.
him, and that was it. I was shocked really when she said you, and that was from Jada, but I don't think the way it was done, I don't think that was Jada.
You can tell when a 12-year-old's texting.
And then I said, well, what's going on with you and your dad? Why you want? She said, he knows. Okay. That's all I get. And I said, well, Mark, I know you're going through. But what's wrong? What goes on with you and Jada? Why? Every time I ask her what caused this, she said, you knows, let you tell me. And then Mark tell me nothing.
That's been a big problem because
it is thing like that.
He knows, ask him, he'll tell you. He knows,
and then,
what?
It get into that he said, don't tell me anything more. Because every time he said, that's all. So Ralph was getting very upset. So a lot of things I don't really bother to say
what's going on in the conversation. Yeah.
And, sometimes I even text Jada without Ralph knowing.
Just to see if you can keep that communication going with her.
Yeah, and then we were told that she's not answering because Mark is the one who is asking us.
Oh, right. So they were then thinking that you were asking your mum and dad to keep contacting her.
I said, and then Mark said, Mum, please text it. I said, no, I'm not going to do it anymore because you're still going to get in trouble.
And you know how it's going to end up.
Yes, because we're doing it the next thing you know, you'll on your probation, they will say this, you're the one who's doing it. And
I'm
then
not though.
he even asked his sister and they refused because it could come back to
yeah,
him
so
again.
indirect.
So we
Because
refrain.
what has happened is that
Yeah.
you eventually
Yeah.
get arrested
Yeah.
for texting your daughter.
Yes. Right, so I got arrested for texting my daughter, and they said it's harassment. And I said, that's ludicrous. And at that point, there was no court order. There's nothing to say.
You couldn't have
I couldn't have
contact.
contact or anything. There's
Yeah.
nothing, so...
And she hadn't specifically said to you, Dad, don't contact me. And
Well,
nobody...
on the text message, it says, don't contact me again. This is when I was trying to tell her about the cancer.
Right.
It says, do not contact me again. This, that, the other. And that was
Which
it.
seems a very strange reaction to you
Yes.
explaining that you've got cancer.
Right, or
Yes.
trying to, yes.
Yeah.
And so that was in November 2021. So nearly every week, probably every 2 weeks sort of thing, there's a text message from me to her,
Just keeping the door open.
keeping the door open, right up until 2023. So 2 years more or less had passed. Right, I turn up at the house to give Jada her Christmas presents and birthday presents and other missed presents from the previous years. A police officer turns up. 2 police officers turn up. I show them the court order, and there's no court order.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I can't be there.
Yeah.
There's no
no
non-molestation
steps
or
orders,
there's no nothing, right? So there's no reason why I can't be there, right? So the female police officer goes into the house. Dave Wilson, who's also a police officer, and the mum are in the house. She's in there for a little while, right? I'm talking to the other police officer, male, outside, and we're just chatting, having a bit of a laugh actually, because there's nothing there. Next thing I know, the policewoman runs out the house, pushes me up against the car, handcuffs me, doubles me over, and puts me in the police car, saying that I'm being arrested for non-violent harassment. And I said, look, about 3 weeks earlier, I've just come out of hospital from having prostate treatment. Mm-hmm. So I'm in a bit of pain in my stomach. And so I'm telling her this. There's no, get in the car. So I'm in the car, right? And I'm driven to Reading Police Station, right? So I'm charged with harassment of the mum.
Okay.
Right? And then later on it changes to harassment of Jada. Right? And the mum's case is dropped off. Right? So they let me out the following day. My car's still outside their house.
Oh, right. So you've got to go
Yeah.
get that somehow.
The police have to take me back to my car, escort me back to my car. I then get in the car and drive off with the present still in the back. And that was it. But I didn't know mum's boyfriend was a police officer at the time. Right? So I'm thinking, it's non-violent harassment. There's no violence involved. Why am I being trussed up and handcuffed and slammed to the side of the car and everything else? In that manner, right? And it's not until almost a year later when I had the hearing,
I discover
that he's a police officer, right? And he's been a police officer for some time, right? And then again, like the revelation we had in the contact centre,
does you now
it all started to
Yes.
Oh my God, it's happening again.
Yeah.
Right, she's now using somebody else as the whip to sort of beat me with.
Get you. But this has resulted in you having a criminal record.
Yep, now a crook.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time crooks.
So, I mean, we now have the being a father is a criminal offence, literally in your case.
Yeah.
And so if we summarise, you right at the beginning, you suffered from racism within the court process from Kafkas and the court, and it was used against you. The being in the military was used against you. We had unbelievable revelations in respect of Mum and Alex Blytheworth. They turned a blind eye to.
Yeah.
Nobody did anything
no.
about it. And now, having tried to go back through that court process again, you have ended up with a criminal record.
Yeah.
Now, those 15 years are a catalogue of traumas for you.
Yeah.
And the reason your mum and dad are here today, not just because they were with us that day when we went to court, back in 2010, but it illustrates how the family court process spreads out and destroys not just the parents and the children, but the wider family as well. And you have a very big, close family. I mean, we talked about Alexander at the beginning, and he now is a dad and he's expecting his second child. His children essentially don't have a relationship with Jada. No. Because he has had a broken and he wants that, but he's had a broken bit part relationship with her as well. So it's not just the parents that the family court affects. It spreads out to every single member of your family as well, and the 8 grandchildren and the 4 great-grandchildren that are going to be, who also subconsciously will be affected by all of this. And you have experienced an extraordinarily high level of trauma after trauma after trauma in that 15 period of time. You say you don't drink because you toddle over you don't like it. You say you took up smoking. How on earth do you regulate yourself and cope with these repeated things? Because you then ended up getting arrested a second time because they said you breached the order. So, it's almost as if, and that was because you were trying to let her know about her granddad.
Yes.
And his ill health.
Yeah.
So how on earth do you try and regulate yourself and cope with all this that's been going on around you? Bearing in mind you've got Alexander, you've got Leani, you've got your other son, you've got Mika coming along, and all these people that are really positive about you as a person and support you, yet this keeps happening. How on earth do you cope? How do you get up every single day and start again?
I just need to work. I'm just working.
Okay.
That's my only get out. I'm actually don't like being at home at the moment. I mean, I go home and I'm dreading going home because I don't know what I'm going to find there.
Okay.
I'm looking to move house. I want to move house. I can't because Mum's on the deeds.
Okay, because of the thing. Yeah.
Right. So I want to move. That's been ongoing. I want to move. I want to go somewhere else and just start afresh. I can't because she won't agree to anything.
Okay.
Right? She's not paid anything towards the mortgage since 2009.
But you're stuck.
But I'm stuck.
Okay.
Right? And so I'm trying to move. I want to move. There's enough for me to move. So I'm dreading going home. So I get up and I want to get out of the house
as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And then I'm just working. I'm working on whatever I'm doing. And I'm at peace when I'm at work. I'm at work, just working away, get the tools, get a bit cuts and a few bits and pieces. And then as I'm driving home, I'm sort of, what am I going to find when I get home? What's going to happen next?
It's like impending dread of walking through the door.
Yeah, what's going to happen next? And then when I go open the door and there's no letters, I'm like, it's almost like a relief. And then I go to work next day and the same thing again. And that's how it feels sometimes.
You're almost coping day to day.
Yes.
You're just living day to day, which I know they say in that, you've got to just take one day at a time. But you have a wider family, you have other children, you have responsibilities, yet it has kind of paralysed you, hasn't it?
But when I spoke to Mum and Dad for almost 2 decades about this, and they're upset when I talk to them about it, how I feel. And so because it upsets them...
You feel helpless, do you?
Yeah.
You feel helpless.
Because it upsets them, I tend not to say anything.
Okay.
And then I try and talk to my son about it.
Don't it? We knows.
Yeah, but I then try to talk to my son. He's heard it so many times before.
And he gets upset.
He gets it.
Yeah.
Right? So the circle of people I can talk to about this is getting smaller and smaller. And so I'm just by myself.
Did you ever wish you never started this?
I didn't start this.
No, but do you wish you ever had just walked away at the beginning and not gone into that family court?
Wish you never met her.
Well, if we could all go back to...
I remember one incident.
I don't think you could wish that, actually, because Jada exists.
She exists.
And her brother and sisters, she's an important part of their life, and she's an important part of your life.
I mean, this probably shouldn't be on record, but when... There's a moment when she first left the house, she went off and all this stuff started. She came back. She was in touch with my neighbours, my next door neighbour, Phil and Jan. Very good neighbours. She'd contacted Jan and she told somebody that she planned to go to the house when I wasn't there and change all the locks so I couldn't get back into the house.
Okay.
So Phil, he forewarned me, right? So I'm a builder anyway, so I went and changed all the locks, and that was it. So I came back home from work to find Mum outside the house with Jada and the other child. And she's just, I can't get in the house, and just shouting at me. I said, well, you left. You left the house. You left the family home. What was I supposed to do? So I want to get some stuff. She wants to get some stuff. So she went, so I let her in the house to get some things, and Jada came in with her. And as I'm playing with Jada, and Mum's going backwards and forwards, taking stuff from the house that Jada was born in.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep having flashbacks, like at the moment she left to go put something in the car, I should just close the door and lock the door.
And I'll tell you now, that would have been your first arrest.
But
you'd have done that.
Maybe, but I mean, she's also my child.
I know. And we know that.
She's also my child, and she's in the house. Mum wants to leave, she can go.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to take the child. But I don't know if that would have been the first arrest or not. I don't know.
I can tell you now, Mum would have rung the police.
Yeah,
and the police would have come around and arrested you, because that is the way they operate.
But it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Absolutely shouldn't be. You both had PR. You both had a right to, and Mum could have left. Absolutely. But I'll tell you now, that is the way the system worked, and it would have been your death knell. You'd have never even got contact in the contact centre. That would have been it.
Okay. Even to this day, I think.
Yeah.
I keep thinking
but
that's what I should have done.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah.
And the house wouldn't have been yours.
Everything would have been.
Yeah.
To me, that's a shock. I mean, we both the parents.
Yeah.
Right. Jada's in our family home. Mum wants to leave.
Yeah.
Mum can leave.
The story would have been that you'd have physically assaulted Mother, moved her out the house. I know it wouldn't have been true, but that would have been the story that had been told, and the police would have been called, and you would have been removed from the property, and Mum would have gone in there and then, and that would have been it. You'd have been arrested.
And that's what I said all along.
And that's what you said.
Anyhow, she'd got the key for the house.
Because I'm afraid, Mark, you're a man, you're black, you've been in the armed forces, and you have all those things against you, and it's as clear as day to me that has been the problem all along in your case, and it should never be that way, because we should not be racist in the family court. We should not use people's jobs or military backgrounds against them, but they do, and I see it every day. And your case, Mark, has been that over and over and over again. And it's horrifying, because I tell you what, you have suffered extraordinary trauma over those 15 years, as will Jada have done, and that trauma will probably come out later on in life for her. You were let down by the courts. You were let down by Kafkas. They failed you, and what they did is they protected the two people who should have been arrested and charged with criminal offences, and there were no sanctions whatsoever. They let them walk away, and you have suffered every day since because of it, and they've twisted it and turned it. And I say again, absolutely, they have played a system against you. And Mum has been quite cute in the way that she's done this. And what happened was, because they didn't do anything about Mum and Alex Blythe in the beginning, they've just given her permission to carry on.
Yeah.
And so
I feel betrayed.
You have been betrayed.
I mean,
yes.
I know times. I mean, when I joined the army, when I joined the services, I wanted to protect Britain.
Protect and serve.
I wanted to protect my family. My brother suffered from cerebral palsy. I wanted to defend him. I was strong. I was physically strong. I was physically fit. And I knew I could protect everybody. And I've had this thing about protecting people from time. And so.
And when you became a dad, that kicked in even.
That kicked even more. Yeah. And then I feel betrayed. That's the best words I can put. Betrayed.
Well, I tell you what, the biggest. I think the real cancer in your case is the family court here.
Yeah.
It has destroyed you, and it has destroyed your wider family, and they have legitimised it by mislabelling it family courts, and implying that it's a good thing, and that it brings people together and they sort things out when they haven't. They have. Yeah. It has been literally been the cancer running through your family from start to finish. and they have betrayed you. And I can honestly say, Mark, that having caught up with you 15 years later, your case is worse
than it was
when we met. It will always be the case that I refer to now, because what I now know, and I'm horrified, and I'm really upset for you about what's happened.
It's disgusting.
It is, because your family are so lovely, as are you, and you've got wonderful children who support you. Yet this horrific system has destroyed you and your family.
I mean, from the moment I went, from the beginning, from the domestic violence intervention program, which from the contact centre, I've had 2 officers at my house saying, somebody's seen me molesting my own child.
And
that was from Alex Blythe. It wasn't from the mum, because she came in that day and I was changing her nappy, and that happened. The following day I was at work. I was working for a social housing company. I was at work and I was so angry, but I didn't know where to place the anger.
Yeah.
And
because you want to tell people, and you think people won't believe what's happened to you.
So I went to, where did I go? I went to Sturminster Marshall. I was doing some work there, and I had a works van, and this traffic warden was coming down the road, and he's giving out tickets. And I just popped into a cafe to get some cakes or whatever, and he's just had to give me a ticket, and I lost it with him.
Yeah, and it's not their fault.
And it wasn't his fault. And I said, right. I threatened him and everything else. I then got back in the van and went back to work and said, look, I need time. I need to find time off. I need something off. Sometime later, there was this North Dorset County Council wanted to take proceedings and everything else. The guy I'd assaulted, not assaulted, but the guy I approached, he apparently was an ex-accountant or something, and he'd lost his stuff to an ex-wife, and etc. I explained everything to him, and he understood me, and he said he's not going to press charges. He's not going to do it. He's not going to take it any further. Right? I had about 2-3 weeks off for mental stress. I went to see somebody, Steps to Wellbeing, for the doctors, and they said they talked about my history and my army and everything else, and I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But it's nothing to do with the army.
No.
Nothing to do with the 12 years of service. It's to do with family court. I had post-traumatic stress disorder from family court.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that, damn it, how is that done to somebody? How could that,
you're not the only person who's got PTSD from the family courts. There are hundreds and hundreds of people out there.
Yeah.
My diagnosis is specifically to do with the family courts. And now I have complex PTSD because for some godforsaken reason, I decided to make it my job and go back into court every single day to help other people. But it is specifically to do with family courts.
Yeah.
I can't go to Bournemouth Family Court without feeling physically sick, because that's where most of my trauma came from and those things. But I do go, but I do feel physically, even now, and my case has been over a very, very long time, but it's with you every single day.
Yeah.
And this is why I think, I know you said you've spoken to somebody and had a bit of counselling, but I really, really want to try and help you find somebody who can properly work with you, because it's trauma-based.
Okay.
And you have been such a good person, Mark, all your life with you the coaching of the rugby things. You've got so much to give to young people out there.
Yeah.
And I think it would be another crime if you weren't able to go out there and live your life properly, giving to people that the skills that you have, and I know that you're capable of doing. And I think, and I know you say it's not come from the military thing, but I think somebody who understands a military background to help you would be better placed, because we do think in a slightly different way. Military people, we're not we're not like other people, and so I think if you can get somebody from the military background to help you, because you will straight away feel that somebody is listening to you, and you'll be more at ease with them, I think.
The nearest I've come to it was like I said, I had a motorbike.
Yeah,
and
getting out there,
I was going out with
free.
the bikes with the guys, and that was the nearest thing I had. That was like just riding it was therapy. Yeah.
And I think you need to do that, because I think what's happening is that you're waking up every day, you are functioning through the day, you're getting to the end of the day, and then you have that dread coming home, and that's just repeating itself every single day, and we have to try and break that cycle.
I want to,
You know, maybe get the bike back out. You know.
It's fine.
You know, I mean, you are in such a much better place than a lot of people, because you have such an amazing family around you, and not just above you with your parents, but your children coming through as well.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a crying shame, Mark, if we can't get you back out there doing what you do best. And we cannot let this be your overriding message going forward. We have to kind of deal with it, put it in its place, and let you come back to life, basically, and be yourself.
Financially, it's drained the whole of us.
It has. It's emotionally, financially, physically drained you. Yes.
Mark is just even his
130,000
pounds, even his pension, he cashed it in, and with our help and everything, and he just financially just drained him, and then he drained us.
And what is shocking from my perspective is that I see hundreds of Marks every single year. You know, I mean, none of them have gone on as long as you in your cases and come back and it's happened to you again. And the arrest on top is just, as I say, you are now, it's a criminal offence being a dad, and that has literally come home to you. Yeah. But your story is not, unfortunately, unusual. I mean, there are unusual elements to it. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get over the reveal in court. I've never, ever had anything like that ever since in the years
when I tell
I've been
people,
doing
it's like, I can't believe it.
When I told my colleague, and I said that I'd spoken to you, she actually then said to me, so lesbian contact centre manager man is real.
Yeah.
And that's how she described you. And I said, because she thought maybe you were an amalgamation of several cases that I'd worked on. And I said, no, this guy is real. And people really struggle to get their head around that, because there are horrors in the family courts. And I hope, Mark, that at some point you'll reach a point where you can do good with what has happened to you.
I have spoken to other guys about this, and I've met guys on building sites and everything else. Oh, my missus just left me, and this, I'm worried about it. So, like, first of all, calm down.
Yeah.
Right. And then I told them briefly about my story, and they tend to like sort of, all right, mate, so what do I do next? What do I do next? Right. Don't go see a solicitor. Right. Try and contact sort of an advocate for fathers' rights, the fathers for justice. Families need fathers.
Anybody other in that actual system, which is
anybody out of the system,
yeah.
Anybody outside the system, anybody that looking to get paid, avoid them like the plague. Go and speak to these people first, right? And they will guide you. They will decide the other, and go from there, right? And talk to everybody. Talk to your friends. Talk to everybody about how you're feeling. Talk to everybody.
And that's an important message for guys, because guys have to do not very good at it.
Yeah. We have to talk to everybody, right? Cry. We'd cry in the army, but come out in civil street, you're not supposed to do it. There's like guys in the army like, man up and everything else, but in the corner they're like, corporal, I'm this. Yeah, they let it out because we have to function. We have to work together. We have to but then, because you're living in such a confined space in the army, you're closer than you realise.
Yeah.
You're in a tank and you have to like sort of go to the toilet, and the guy's right behind you. If you can't do that, if you can do that in front of somebody, then you can talk about everything.
Yeah.
But out here, it's not the same.
And do you feel that you have been on your own and there hasn't been that kind of support that you've needed? Because people you speak to don't understand what you've been through?
Yes, in a lot of ways, yes. I mean, there's like, even now, I'm 64 years old, I'm still have to sleep with the TV on, because when I was growing up, there was always somebody around me. In the house with mum and dad, I could hear like snoring, I could hear people going to the toilet and so on and so on. There's always this comforting noise around me. And then join the army with like 22 other men in the same room, the same thing. I then leave the army, buy a house, silence, right? I can't sleep. I keep waking up in the middle of the night. I can't sleep. So I got the TV on just to give me some background noise, right? When the kids are there, I'm out like a light. But when they're not there, I've got the TV back on again, sort of thing. And it's yeah,
you are a proud and capable man, Mark, and this shouldn't. Your brain is telling you this shouldn't have happened to you, and you should be able to cope with this. And you're. I can see you're not.
I can. I got children that are not mine who gravitate towards me. I did have a rugby team of 15 young lads, teenagers, right, who now they're in their 30s, 40s. I see them in town, all right, coach, and they're like twice my size now. But I influenced them.
Yeah.
I remember once with Alexander, I was always affectionate towards him. Like, we'd be on the rugby pitch. Love you, son. Love you too, Dad. Right, across the rugby pitch. And everybody else would be laughing. Right? So I didn't think anything wrong with it. Right? And then some of the other lads says, I wish my dad would say that.
And now you're scared, I think, aren't you?
Now, yeah.
You remember there was one incident you told us that on one of the text messages you sent, the last court hearing, that you put an X, love you, and she interpreted it as a threat.
Oh, yes, it was her birthday. So they said I couldn't send a message, couldn't send the and I couldn't resist. So on her birthday, I just sent an X, a kiss.
All right.
Right? And then they come around and says, is that some kind of threat? I says, you joking? It's her birthday. And
everything you know and everything you were brought up to believe as a child in your safe family environment and has been turned on its head, hasn't it?
But and then when they go to court, they turn around and say, Mr. Price, you must understand what you've done and so on and so on. And you must, what's the word I must understand, and I'm not taking it on board what the position I'm in, and I have to accept. They say I have to accept this finding. I have to accept the way this is, right? Do you accept? Says, no, I don't accept this. This is wrong. You know it's wrong. I'm looking in the judge's eyes, and they're looking at me. Do you accept? And I'm looking at them, right? And I can see they don't accept it, but they have to follow this procedure and telling me, do I accept it for the court record and everything else? And I'm like, do you believe that? Do you honestly believe that this is right? And so, yeah.
Well, I am so sorry, Mark, that I waited 15 years, really, to...
No, he's trying to get 15 years of this into...
To come back and find out what had gone on, because it's just been awful to hear what you and your family have been through. And in many respects, I'm kind of ashamed that I become part of that system by working with people in the court. Yet you are every reason why I need to keep campaigning and change
doing your job,
and change this system, because dads like you do not deserve to be made criminals, and you proved it with all these other lovely children that have become your family, that you are a wonderful dad and you have a wonderful family and support, and as I say, I really want to try and help you get through this, because I do think this shouldn't be your lasting memory or your last message in amongst all this. There has to be something that we can do out of this, and I hope that there are dads out there who have listened to your story today, can relate to it, and they can decide that actually, that what I need to make some changes myself. This is, I cannot accept this system and the way that it's working, and that, they do come forward, and we can, as a wider body of people, continue to campaign for change on this, because it is horrific that it is still happening. I mean, Fathers for Justice has been going 25 years now, and we shouldn't exist.
No.
We shouldn't exist. But what I really hope is that for your family and your whole wider family, that at some point this does come back together, and your missing piece does come back. And I always go back to what I say to other families, is that when children leave home and they go off to university, that's often an interesting point, because they're mixing with people who've got different viewpoints, and they start to challenge them and open their eyes. And then they go on later in life and they have their own families. Perspectives can change.
Yeah.
And I really hope for you and for Alexandra and your grandchildren that are coming up, that this is not the legacy that we leave. And that, the next generation of your family doesn't ever have to experience.
I'll pray they don't have
this. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming in and speaking to me today. And I know it's been really hard, and I can tell with your dad, because every now and again, if he's sort of squeezing my hand, he's getting upset. And yes, it has been an emotional journey, I think, today to come and talk about this. But I do think talking about it, Mark, is the key for you and for other dads out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to talk about it.
They do. Yes. Well, thank you, Mum and Dad, for coming in as well.
Well, nice seeing you.
And it's been lovely to see you. Let's not wait 15 more years to do it again. No. Well, thank you very much for coming in, and thank you for listening to the Lady Bulls podcast. We will be back again with another episode next month. But if you'd like to speak to either myself or Mark, our details will be out there, and hope we can find something really positive out of this today. Thank you very much.